Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Joseph Iacobucci. I am an aspiring psychoanalytic, psychotherapist, and psychiatric nurse practitioner. My commitment is to, over the next 5 years, to hopefully develop a private practice where I provide holistic mental health care and really try to remind people that they are so much more than capable of really honoring their emotional needs and really getting those needs met in the real world. And I've developed a treatment philosophy, and in this video I want to share that philosophy with you. And ultimately we can, of course, have a conversation about this philosophy. It is a working philosophy, but I've really conceptualized it as a 3-pillar system, and each pillar sort of builds on the other pillars. So you can imagine pillar 1 sort of supporting the structure of your emotional health, and then pillar 2 supporting it even more, and pillar 3 supporting it even more. So you've got like this hierarchy, I should say. So the primary pillar, right, the most important pillar within holistic mental health care is the therapeutic relationship. And when we look at and investigate what that is, we have to develop this understanding. What does it mean to feel like we are being related to? And this has a lot to do with what we talk about sort of casually as trust. So what we really want to do to help heal each other is we want to develop trust. And we want to build trust. We want to build and sustain trusting relationships. Now, in order for really that process to occur and emerge, we need to focus on the first pillar. And that pillar is attachment processes, memory, and learning. I know that's kind of broad, but the point is this, and I'll read it here verbatim from what I wrote. Our sense of self emerges out of our earliest attachments to one another, especially our mothers. In order to feel safe, we must feel loved without conditions. In summary, we must first experience love in order to have the capacity to love. Okay, and our second pillar gets more technical. So here we are, we've developed a sense of self, and we are separating from our mother attachment. Now we are aware of this separation. We have a sense of being disconnected from. Now we have to connect again, and we need to learn to do this through becoming aware. I talk about awareness, but I think the technical term that would reflect this in the psychological literature would be self-regulation. And when we think of self-regulation, we can also paint that. We can try to describe that in different language, but self-regulation is developing a sense of self-responsibility. So I wrote here, there is no true responsibility without learning how to notice or become conscious of how we as individuals are freely choosing to respond to our emotions. We learn how to respond to these emotions in a proper way that is regulating through our early relationships. This enables us to make sense of our life experiences through proper narrative. So you can see this does depend on there being that early experience. So I can't really be self-regulating, for instance, if my mother is extremely addicted to a substance and stressed. Of course, this is where much of our severe psychopathology, unfortunately, comes from. And really that third pillar is it's very important, but it's so much more medical and scientific. The therapeutic lifestyle change / functional medicine pillar is the pillar that focuses on our behavior and how we behave in ways that actually can regulate our emotions. And we have, in order of importance, I would say, for self-regulation, and I'm sort of trying to decide how important these are over the others, but I have sleep. Proper sleep seems to be probably the most powerful mover in our emotional lives. I think we've all had that experience where we are sleep deprived and my goodness, we're taking life so much more seriously. Our emotions are running the show. And we need to get that rest so that we can regulate those emotions. Okay, so sleep, physical movement. So we know that the frontal cortex is basically attached to the motor cortex. The motor cortex developed before the prefrontal regions. So really the precursor to abstract thought and really self-regulation is movement. So I think movement is a great way to activate or turn on these self-regulatory capacities. In fact, shared physical movement is very therapeutic. Our diet is very important. When I say our diet, I mean more specifically the way that our diet actually regulates our endocrine system. And when we get more technical, we're looking at the way that our body really utilizes energy and the ebb and flow associated with the way that our body syncs up with nature itself through the circadian rhythm. So we really want to start to live in a way that starts to honor those rhythms again. And we really want to eat food that supports the homeostasis and really metabolic flexibility that we're all designed to have. The brain, in fact, is that much more thicker in those who actually are metabolically healthy. Natural light exposure. We know that in order for the circadian rhythm to be regulated, we need to have that natural light exposure, especially early in the morning. And then I have towards the end here the area I just am so excited about because I'm not so hardcore with my scientific model, is this aspect of relationship. We have these unique ways that we come to feel like we have value in the world. We all need to belong. But I believe that our perception of how to achieve belonging is colored in different ways. And it's a very beautiful process. And I love it. And I'm so passionate. I want to honor each and every one of you, each and every patient I ever have, their subjective process, the way God made them, and how beautiful they are. So the way that we relate is very important. So by actually having experiences where we can safely and spontaneously relate, we regulate our emotions, relationships. And of course, we're not always relating. Sometimes we are, as individuals, focused on a task. And this is a skill of engagement, of interest in life, the skill of psychological engagement. We know that when we pay attention to the world, that we can do so in a way that is task-oriented and non-task-oriented. We have a social network, and then we have a non-social network. On the one hand, we are primed to actually be in a negative affective state or valence in a social state. So when we are having that default neural network active, but we're not being social, our mind is wandering. And this is where I think most of us succumb to our emotional problems, because we don't have the discipline or the skills or the lifestyle to regulate that wandering monkey mind. But as I've learned, we can learn to be interested in the world. We can learn to focus our attention. And that's what this portion of the pillar is about. Psychological engagement. What interests you? What do you like to pay attention to? Where can we promote states of psychological flow in your life? When we have flow, we have a sense of losing ourselves in the moment. That sense of connection, of loss of the self, is deeply spiritual and deeply therapeutic, and I believe we are designed for those experiences. So that is my 3-pillar model for my hopefully future practice as a psychiatric nurse practitioner and psychodynamic psychotherapist. So if you're interested in any of these interventions, please comment below and let's have a conversation. And let's take good care of ourselves so that we can learn to take better care of one another. All right, Godspeed. See you soon. Bye-bye.